Understand that they calibrate the atomic structure of your being to be more harmonious with the idea of your original DNA blueprint, which you would correlate with the idea of vitality, of perfect health, of perfect mind, so to say, being sound in both mind, body, and spirit. In general, as you begin to embody the first 6 of the Platonic solids, then moving into the idea of the higher ones, as you move from 6 to 10, so to say, it represents the idea of the awakening of certain dormant genetic abilities that relate to aspects of your genome that have been purposefully inserted throughout the story of your human experience. And the idea is that these dormant genetics are not forbidden, they're not locked, they simply require the frequency of the being to be in resonance with the idea of their catalyzation frequency. Thus, when you reach a certain vibration of frequency within yourself, you then activate the idea of the dormant genetics. And the idea of the Platonic solids and embodying them can begin to awaken these dormant genetics, thus allowing for you to actually experience more of your humanity in a way that many of you would quantify as superhuman. The higher Platonic solids, in many ways, are somewhat similar to the idea of the lower ones, with the exception that they contain a dimension of movement. While you may observe the idea of Platonic solids 1 through 5, many of you see them as static images. And that, in many ways, is one level of how you can experience the idea of the Platonic solids. But understand they also have the ability to rotate, to spin. The idea is you're familiar with, for example, the dodecahedron. The idea is that each of the different facets of the dodecahedron can actually spin, can actually rotate. And many of you have the understanding that when something is rotating, it is rotating in one direction. However, due to the multi-dimensional nature of the Platonic solids, these facets, these faces of the shape can actually rotate simultaneously in different directions, representing the idea of that shape, which normally for you represents a third dimensional, fourth dimensional concept of a shape. When it then spins, so to say, its faces in these multiple directions, it then awakens the idea of the multidimensionality of that shape. Each of the Platonic solids in that sense have a correspondence with the idea of each of the different nervous plexuses of your body that you correlate with the concept of the chakras. So you can, in that sense, begin to understand which Platonic solid relates to which chakra. You can understand which Platonic solid relates to specific spinal vertebra, thus allowing for you to program the idea of the physical body with these energetics of the Platonic solids, thus awakening the corresponding genetic aspects.
So would it be fair to say the tetrahedron is the root chakra? It corresponds with the root?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then does it in the order that they're usually displayed? I think after the tetrahedron, it's the cube. Would that be the sacral?
Understand that in general, you have the ability to play with them, but just as the Platonic solids essentially increase in number value, you can, as a general rule of thumb, correlate that with the idea of the chakra vortice progression within the body, going from lower to higher. Now, understand, it's a permission slip, which means there's no objective built-in fundamental quality. There are, in that sense, correlations that have to do with the idea of how you are currently co-creating your body. But understand, you could swap certain Platonic solids in ways that would appear to be out of order based off of the description we have just given you. And that can actually be a positive thing if it's used in a positive way. For example, you could in that sense utilize the idea of the dodecahedron at the root chakra to activate the higher aspects of the root chakra itself. So you can play around with this. Remember, it's not fixed. It's not necessarily a system you have to get perfect. Rather, you simply must allow your own natural perfection to create the perfect permission slip for you, which is an automatic phenomenon simply through you following your joy. Remember, it's automatically perfect because perfection is one of the fundamental qualities of existence, because existence functions perfectly.